Cloncurry, we move on to the famous towns of Winton and Longreach in outback Queensland. First stop along the way was the remote pub, which was the location of one of the film sets for Crocodile Dundee. In Winton, we stayed at the Winton Wanderers Caravan Park just out of town, with large drive-through sites. We visited the historic Gregory Hotel and listened to one of the local Banjo Patterson performers, which was very entertaining. A little bit of history along with some famous poetry. After that, we enjoyed the sunset while having dinner at the pub. After driving out to the Age of Dinosaurs, we decided not to go ahead with the tour because we had to do at least one guided lecture before we could wander the dinosaur exhibitions. It was very pricey, and we're not that interested in dinosaurs, but it was a great view from the hill where the complex is located, and drone flying was restricted. However, we got a small shot of the view. Back in town, we visited local landmarks, including the musical fence and the old Chinese vegetable garden and store. There's also a museum in the main street, which has its own dinosaurs, a street piano, and some interesting displays on the wool trade in the area. We also took a drive out to the Bladensburg National Park and had a look around there. Very interesting, quite dry and flat.
We're out at what we think is the Skull Waterhole. Isn't really a track. There's lots of warnings about crumbling rock and unstable cliff edges. Nevertheless, we're wandering over to have a look. Maybe we'll find a dinosaur footprint. Can you see anything interesting? Maybe you saw it on the interweb. Hang on, alright.
Steve popped the drone up so we could have a better look around. to Longreach, we passed through the town of Ilfracombe and stopped there for a pub lunch. They have some very interesting seating. At Longreach, we set up at the Muddy Duck Caravan Park, again slightly out of town, and also across the river from the popular Apex Free Camp, which looked very busy. There were nice lawn sites with privacy hedges, and they also have a communal fire, and there was some free entertainment on the nights that we were there. Longreach, we once again chose not to spend money on expensive tours, but drove around to all the main spots and admired them from afar. We did go into the Powerhouse Museum, repository of all things to do with electricity, which was quite interesting, and spent a long time wandering around the historic cemetery. Our final destination for this episode is Tambo, with stop-offs in Barcaldine to see the Tree of Knowledge, which was much more impressive than I expected, and the attractively named Meat Ant Park with its supersized ant sculpture, and Blackall, where we had lunch in the converted Masonic Lodge. At Tambo, we had great fun at the regular chicken races, which raise money to assist local children who need medical care.
Why on earth does this crazy person do chicken racing? That is a couple of reasons. One, I'm just a little bit crazy, and I've